What's happening, guys? This is episode 53 of House Cat MMA, and right now I'm going to be going over my top 5 Bantamweight Goats in the UFC. But before I get into all that, if you would just take a second to like and subscribe, maybe do a little bit of comment and sharing, that'll be the coolest shit you've done this holiday season. I'm going back to my straight MMA shit. I learned that if I deviate away and get into like the drama side of things, like with what's going on with Ilya Taporia, A, I don't really give a fuck about that shit, and B, it just doesn't really do numbers. And the Jake Paul shit, that kind of does numbers, but I'll cover it when he fights, but I don't really give too much of a fuck about that shit either. But yeah, just straight MMA for the most part from here on out. I'll be back in my ideal studio type shit tomorrow. I just ain't really been home this week. So number one on this list is obviously none other than TJ Dillashaw. TJ won season 4. He did not win the season 14 of The Ultimate Fighter. He was a finalist of season 14 of The Ultimate Fighter. Got knocked out by John Dodson, but he put together a decent little winning streak after that. Then he dropped a close one to Rafael Sunsao, and then he found himself in a position to fight Renan Barão for the bantamweight title. I remember when that fight happened back in 2014, and I remember thinking, because, this was a point in time where Renan Barão was not that far below Jose Aldo as far as how highly touted they both were. And Renan was 32 wins, no losses, and 1 no contest in his last 33. So people weren't really giving Dillashaw a shot in hell, but I just remember thinking, I think TJ can win this fight. Because you got to think, when Renan Barão won the belt, he won it off of, I want to say, he won the interim belt. There's an interim belt bout with Renan Barão and Uriah Faber, and Renan won that. Then he defended it against like Eddie Wineland and Michael McDonald, and then Uriah Faber again once it became the undisputed belt, because that whole thing was happening because of Dominic Cruz's situation, because Dominic Cruz was all the time fucking hurting himself. So TJ Dillashaw put a fucking beat down on Barão, like a bad one. And then, he defends against Joe Soto, and then he defends against Renan Barão again. And once Cruz got back in the mix, Cruz actually beat Dillashaw for the bantamweight title. And then, of course, the whole situation with Cruz losing it to Garbrandt. And then TJ found himself in a position to fight Garbrandt for the title. Then he knocked Garbrandt out, and then they fought again, and TJ knocked Garbrandt out again. And so, 2-time champion, he's definitely one of the bigger underdogs in UFC title bout history, and also his non-title fight wins are pretty good. Sonnen's got a pretty good quote in saying that with the TJ Dillashaw that beat John Lineker back in 2016, Sonnen said that's the best MMA fighter of all time. The TJ Dillashaw on I want to say July 9th, 2016, that's the best fighter of all time, Sonnen said. And of course, number 2, you got Dominic Cruz. Dominic Cruz was the inaugural bantamweight UFC champ, because, back when the WEC and the UFC merged, Cruz was the WEC bantamweight champion, beating, I think did he beat Brian Bowles Cruz did beat Brian Bowles for the WEC bantamweight title. Then he defended against Joseph Benavidez and maybe 1 or 2 other guys, and then he goes in the UFC and fights Uriah Faber for, because he was the inaugural champ, and then him and Uriah Faber fought for the belt, and he beat Uriah Faber, then he beat Demetrius Johnson, and then of course he fucking hurt himself, because he always did that, and he was out for 3 years, and then he knocked out Takeya Mizugaki, and then he was out for like another little while, like almost a year and a half, and then he fought TJ Dillashaw, won the belt off of Dillashaw. Then of course Garbrandt kind of steamrolled through him a little bit, and he's number 2 simply because he did in fact beat TJ Dillashaw. That was a close fight, could have gone either way, but I mean when you beat TJ Dillashaw, I mean, that puts you in the mix of the top 5 Bantamweight Goats. And then number 3, of course, you got Merab Dvalishvili, simply because of his 14-fight win streak. You know, he beat Jose Aldo, he beat John Dodson, beat Corey Sandhagen, beat Sugar Sean O'Malley twice, beat Umar Nurmagomedov, and a couple other guys that I'm missing. He's the only guy that weaponizes pace better than Cain Velasquez did, because you got the top 3 guys that weaponize pace. That's Rob Dvalishvili, Cain Velasquez back in the day, and Colby Covington. And when you submit, because I think people know Sean O'Malley's good, but I don't think people know exactly how good Sean O'Malley is. And when you tap out Sean O'Malley, like that's a crazy thing to do. Sean O'Malley is obviously second best in the bantamweight division, and I love what Sean O'Malley said, saying that he's going to be the 3-round champ at bantamweight. Basically kind of doing some like a little bit of Uriah Faber action, because Uriah Faber back in the day, he'd always lose the title fights, but he would always win his non-title fights. He was like in some kind of crazy number in title fights, because he was the WEC champ at featherweight, and once he lost that, he kind of had a checkered record, but it was only because he kept on finding himself in title contention than losing the title fight. But yeah, Merab Dvalishvili, crazy wins, crazy pace. I think, I don't know, because like if Petr Yan and Merab fight again, that seems like a fight where Merab's gonna win in the rematch, but I don't know. But it seems like something he could do. Like I said some weeks ago, Merab was so sunken in at the presser that I was thinking he doesn't look great. And, you know, he had a good fight that he lost, but I'd like to see what happens in the rematch. Then, of course, number 4 is, I think, even though I was never ultra impressed with Renan Barão, I think you got to put Renan Barão in at number 4, simply because of going 32 wins, no losses, and 1 no contest in 33 fights. He did beat Uriah Faber twice, but then you got to think about, you know, his other wins. You know, Michael McDonald was once a highly touted young prospect, but he didn't really do much. And then Eddie Wineland's strong journeyman Eddie Wineland is. Then he goes like 2-9 after he loses to Dillashaw back in 2014, which I would like to know what happened. Did TJ Dillashaw throw such a hellacious beatdown on Renan, or was it? And what, like, did he beat him? Did he beat him so bad that he just wasn't the same after, or what the fuck happened? Because he was a young guy. He was younger than me when he lost the belt to TJ Dillashaw. I don't know why he couldn't at least have like a over 500 record after that, but he kind of sucked after that. I kind of like doing videos outside because it's cold outside, and I feel like I think better when it's cold, but it's a busy road right now, and I apologize. So, Renan Barão, number 4, even though I was never ultra impressed with him. Number 5 got tricky. I was going to go either Petr Yan or Sugar Sean O'Malley in at number 5. But if I gotta choose one, I'm going Sean O'Malley because I'm a huge fan. Um, yeah, Sean, like, he was a guy that, like, he was ultra impressive back in 2017 on Dana White's Contender Series. And he had some big wins, but I just feel like his personality was a little annoying to some people / a little unassuming. I remember saying back during COVID that O'Malley was going to be the champ, and I got looked at sideways about that because of that. But he beats Aljo for the belt, defends against Marlon Vera, and hey, he arguably beat Merab in the first fight. If you hear O'Malley tell it, three, I forget which rounds he said he won, but he says he won 3 rounds to 2 against Merab Dvalishvili. And I remember, like, when I first rewatched that fight after O'Malley said that shit, I was like, I don't think so, but I see what he means. And he's just got that mindset, like when he lost to Chito Vera in their first fight. He's like, that wasn't a loss, because he said he was just getting ready to beat his ass. He fucked up whatever that nerve is in your foot when kicking Vera, and he ended up getting TKO'd. But you kind of got to be that way. You got to be that high level of an athlete. You kind of gotta, if something doesn't go your way, you kind of gotta either have a goldfish memory or be in denial about it. And he kind of chooses denial. Like, I didn't lose that fight. And and people also didn't think he was, gonna do much, like that situation when he poked Pedro Munoz's eye out. Cause he's doing alright in that fight, but he wasn't exactly winning. But that's what I'm thinking, just give him time. Just give him time. He's gonna do some cool shit. Then when he fought Petr Yan arguably won that fight, but I see why the 2 of the 3 judges gave it to O'Malley. But his back is seemingly against the wall in most of his big fights, and he's kind of doubted a lot, but he kind of just gets the shit done. And so he's number 5. Petr Yan, I'd put him at number 6 for now if I was doing a top 10. But if he defends the belt against, like, Merab or whoever else they throw in there with him, I think I'd put him at number 3, and then Merab at 4, and then maybe O'Malley. Yeah, and then O'Malley's still number 5. Then Henry would be 6, or something like that. And also, if I was doing top 10, I think do you put Garbrandt in at number 7? I mean, maybe either Garbrandt or Uriah Faber. You'd have to go Garbrandt 7, Uriah Faber 8, and I don't know who you'd put at 9. Perhaps Miguel Torres. If we're gonna go back, like if we're gonna merge the WBC and the UFC, we'd have to go Miguel Torres at 9, and maybe a Brian Bowles at 10. But anyways, this is episode 53 of House Cat MMA. I'll be back in my ideal makeshift studio come tomorrow. I ain't been home in a long time. But I will catch y'all later.